One of the biggest perks of living in San Francisco is having direct access to the waterfront, the beautiful views, the parks, the amenities that come with being right near the water. But San Francisco is surrounded by water on 3 sides. There are dozens of waterfront neighborhoods. So which ones are the best? How do you rank them? Which ones are the right ones for your particular lifestyle? I'm Austin.klar, your lawyer turned real estate agent in San Francisco and Marin County. I've lived in the Bay Area for over a decade, and in this video, I'm going to break down my top 5 favorite waterfront communities, including what life is like in each and how much housing costs in each of them, so that you have all the information you need about those markets in one place. So let's get right to the rankings, and we're going to kick it off with number 5 on the list, a new community that's still under construction right now, Yerba Buena Island. Yerba Buena Island is a 147-acre island smack in the middle of the San Francisco Bay. Developer Wilson Meany took what was once a naval station and turned it into a massive development. There's a mix of condos, townhomes, single-level flats, and custom single-family homes all over the island. Plus, there's over 70 acres of open park spaces across the entire island and amenities that rival what you get at the best buildings in downtown SF. It's located right after the bridge toll coming from the East Bay into San Francisco. So if you live there, for now at least, you don't need to pay a bridge toll to get into the city. You can just drive onto the bridge, go right to the city without paying anything. There's also a ferry that goes directly to Treasure Island next door to Yerba Buena Island that will drop you off at the ferry building, less than a 10-minute ferry ride. And there's a bus that'll pick you up on the island as well. So it's actually closer to downtown, easier to get to downtown living on Yerba Buena Island than it is if you're living like out in the Sunset or Richmond areas. And that's one of the things I like the most about living on the island. You are very, very close to a lot of great food and shopping in downtown San Francisco, but you have a reprieve from the hustle and bustle of the city, living on a very secluded, almost private island. The island is a very peaceful setting with incredible 360-degree views all around the bay, all the way to the Golden Gate Bridge, to the Bay Bridge and beyond. There's a ton of park spaces that are already built and still being built on the island. It also has access to one of the most secluded beaches in the entire Bay Area, Clipper Cove, which has extremely calm waters. It's perfect for things like paddleboarding, kayaking, swimming, or just having a picnic outside. It's a very short walk from where the residences are on the island. Great amenity. The island is still under construction. A lot of units have become available and more are coming available. The condo building on the island, the Bristol, is already complete. Units have already been selling there. There are townhomes that are already selling there, more being built. The flats are about to be released later this year. Single family homes to come later. The Island Club, a private amenity club on the island for residents, is also under construction. Parks are under construction there, so a lot is still being built, but the island is already an incredible place to live. But because it isn't complete, it's still being developed. That's, one of the main reasons I ranked it lower on my list. The residences there are all beautiful, but there's a lot of construction going on at the island. So, sometimes you're going to get road closures. There's going to be noise sometimes on the island. You're also very close to the Bay Bridge. So depending on which unit you're in, it's going to be noisy when you're outside of your unit. They do have triple pane windows on these units to account for that, but outside you are going to hear some ambient noise. There's also not a real grocery store on the island. There's a small market on Treasure Island next door. They're building up Treasure Island into a massive mixed-use community. 8,000 units are coming to the island. So a lot is coming to the area, but it's not quite where it needs to be or where it's going to be just yet. So that's why I rank it lower on my list. Still a great place to live. Condos on Yerba Buena Island start under $900,000. Townhomes on the island start at just shy of $3 million. And HOAs, given the amenity stack on the island, are a little bit more expensive, starting at around $1,200 a month. But when you compare that to amenity buildings in San Francisco, with similar amenity stacks like gym and security, rooftops, all that great stuff, it's substantially less expensive than what you'd pay at a building in San Francisco. There's so much going on at Yerba Buena Island. I really think it is one of the most ambitious and most exciting residential developments in San Francisco happening right now. If you want to learn more about what they're building and what the different units look like, I've got a separate video where I give you a tour of the entire island. I'll link that up top in the description below. Definitely worth checking out. And if you like videos about what it's like to live in San Francisco, current events, coming soon developments, I make videos about that stuff every single week, so make sure to subscribe to my channel. Now back to my rankings. Next on my list at number 4 is a neighborhood that I used to live in, South Beach. The South Beach neighborhood is on the eastern central waterfront of San Francisco, starting just south of Market Street and the ferry building, running down to Oracle Park along the Embarcadero. The area has some of the warmest weather in the city, and it's relatively flat, and no matter where you live, you are walking distance basically from the water and all the incredible amenities nearby. You're walking distance to multiple Michelin-starred restaurants if you live there. There's also a ton of casual food, serving a lot of the offices that are nearby. You're walking distance to the great shopping and food at the Ferry Building, to the amazing shopping at Union Square. You're also walking distance to Oracle Park, where the San Francisco Giants play, and you're a short walk to Chase Center, where the Golden State Warriors play, and all the building that's going on around Chase Center in Mission Bay. And the best thing about South Beach is you have easy access to the waterfront without the attendant colder weather that typically comes with living near the water. And it's great that the weather there is so nice because there are run routes all along the waterfront. One of the best is along the Embarcadero, great place to, go on a jog, go on a walk, take your dog for a walk, what have you. There are also little green spaces spread throughout the area, not like huge open park spaces, but little green areas where you can sit, relax, have a picnic, and just take in the sights because the views from there are spectacular. As far as housing goes, there aren't really single-family homes there. It's more condos and loft-style residences, and most of them are in like mid to high-rise buildings. A lot of them have amenities. Most of them are very modern. So if you're looking for the more modern condo lifestyle, South Beach is definitely an area to consider. A lot of them will have like gyms and rooftops and like residence lounges and conference space you can rent out, catering kitchens, things like that. Now, downside of living there is because they're condo buildings, you're less likely to get like meaningful outdoor space to take in that great weather. You might have like a small patio, unless you spend like millions and millions and get like a penthouse unit that has its own rooftop or like expansive terrace. Most likely, if you have any outdoor space beyond a small little terrace or patio, it'll be shared space. But on the flip side, you do get some incredible views because you're high up in the residences here. Another benefit is that the housing market in this area has been one of the hardest hit since the pandemic, and changes in the commercial real estate market and the work from home environment. It has caused significant price softening in the area, and you have condos in that area routinely selling for prices that they sold at in 2013, 14, 15. So if you're looking for deals, it's a great place to find a deal. And I've got a whole separate video on the neighborhood talking all about what you can find in the area and even more about what it's like living there. I'll link that at the top in the description below as well. The average price of a condo in that area right now is about $1.5 million, a little over $1,100 a foot. That can go well north of $2,000 a foot in much more modern high-end amenity buildings. So there's definitely a range there. You can get penthouses for, $10+ million, but on average about $1.5 million for a condo. The reason why I put South Beach a little bit lower in my rankings is that while it's a great area with great weather, you don't have that outdoor space, which I mentioned before, and I love having big open park spaces. I love having a backyard where I live. Also, one thing you definitely need to be aware of, because it is so close to Oracle Park and Chase Center and all the construction that's going on down there, there's a ton of traffic. It's also really close to the bridge, so especially during rush hour or during a game day or both, insane traffic. So it can be really difficult to get around there with a car, or if you're calling an Uber, it could take a really long time for the Uber to get to you. Luckily, very easy to walk around in that neighborhood because it is flat and the weather tends to be pretty mild. Number 3 on my list is Seacliff, and it is far and away the most expensive neighborhood on this list. And technically, it is not like right on the water. Homes in Seacliff are built all the way up to the edge of a cliff overlooking the Pacific Ocean. So sort of waterfront, have houses that have nothing in front of them. They are literally over the water. They also, some of them at least, have direct access to the beach, and obviously people in the neighborhood have easy access to the beach. So I think it's fair to call it a waterfront community. Seacliff is one of 8 master plan communities in San Francisco, or they're also called residence parks. These are communities that were designed over a century ago to give a sort of suburban reprieve from an otherwise urban environment. So, characteristics of these master plan communities: detached homes, large front setbacks so you can have real front yards. There's also like no businesses, so no shops, no restaurants, no bars in the area. It is just housing. And this residence park, Seacliff, is on the northern waterfront, the northern side of San Francisco, right in between Lincoln Park and the Presidio. So incredible location. The lots there tend to be well above the average size lot in San Francisco, and the views there are unmatched, unobstructed to the Pacific Ocean, Marin Headlands, Golden Gate Bridge. Because there aren't any businesses there, it is so quiet, it is so peaceful there, it is very safe, very family friendly. You see people, walking around the neighborhood, going on runs in the neighborhood, people with their dogs walking around all the time. It is very much a retreat away from the city and is a little bit more removed from the hustle and bustle. It'll take you probably 15 to 25 minutes, depending on traffic, to get to downtown. Not a whole lot of public transportation from Seacliff specifically. You'd have to go into another neighborhood nearby to catch bus into downtown. But if you don't need to be like right next to shops, restaurants, or bars, and you want big views and you want peace and quiet and you've got the money to afford it, Seacliff is definitely the way to go. The average home in Seacliff over the past year has cost a little bit over $7 million, about $1,650 a foot, so incredibly expensive, one of the most expensive in San Francisco, totally worth it. Number 2 on my list is the very first neighborhood that I lived in when I first moved to San Francisco, North Beach. North Beach is on the north side of the city as well, but a lot closer to the financial district, and that was one of the primary reasons I chose to live there when I first moved to the city. I was working as a lawyer at a law firm in downtown San Francisco in the financial district. I walked to and from work every single day. It was about 22 minutes door to door. It is relatively flat. There's a slight incline from where I lived walking up Columbus toward downtown, a little bit of a decline on the way home, but very mild, very walkable. And North Beach is easily one of the best neighborhoods for food in all of San Francisco. It is known as the Little Italy of San Francisco. Huge concentration of Italian food in the area. So on my way home from work, I would definitely stop off at like Tony's Pizza, get some to-go pizza. I would stop at Molinari and get Italian sandwich. Amazing food. There's also a great park in North Beach, Washington Square Park, one of my favorite parks in the city. Perfect for grabbing some food to go and just chilling in the park. They also have events there every year like the Italian Heritage Parade. They have pizza festivals in the park. It's great. There's also Joe DiMaggio Park, which has, relatively new and renovated basketball courts, tennis courts. There's public libraries there. There's an indoor swimming pool there. Great place to live if you have kids. And the neighborhood is steps from the north waterfront. The waterfront is where like Pier 39 is, Fisherman's Wharf. So it's not exactly a place that locals hang out at a lot, but you can still have like great walks or runs along the waterfront. You have some of the best food at your doorstep that you can take and eat near the water as well. Really great place to live. Not a lot of single family homes there. It is mostly condos that sell there. And it's actually relatively affordable compared to, condos in some of the other neighborhoods that I've talked about on this list. On average, about $1.25 million, a little bit over $1,000 a foot. So a lot more reasonable, still expensive, but more reasonably priced than some of these other areas. And number 1 on my list has to be the Marina. You get some incredible San Francisco, like classic San Francisco architecture, great views, great food, incredible walkability, and great weather. The neighborhood is completely flat, so it really is one of the most walkable in the entire city, especially when you take into account the more mild weather. There are also giant open green spaces along the north waterfront, like Crissy Field and Marina Green. Walking distance from pretty much anywhere you're going to live in the Marina. Great places for pets, kids, lounging around, taking in the sun on those warmer days. One of the best park sites in the city, those 2 spots. You also have park space by the Palace of Fine Arts, by Fort Mason, and you have incredible food and shopping on Chestnut Street, which is the main commercial corridor of the Marina. One thing to note, though, there are a lot of bars in the area, which is great, but that means it does tend to stay a little busier, a little later into the evening than some of the other neighborhoods I talked about on this list. But if you go, a block or 2 away from Chestnut Street, where most of those are, it is still very quiet, even at night. The streets are a little bit on the narrow side, so it can definitely be a little tougher to navigate, especially if cars are coming in both directions with cars parked on the street. Parking there is also very, very difficult because of that commercial corridor and just not a lot of street parking available generally, so it tends to fill up. So if you are buying a place, definitely buy a place that has parking. I really, really caution somebody against buying a place in the Marina that doesn't have parking unless they know they can get a rental space nearby. As far as housing stock goes, the Marina has a good mix of condos and single-family homes. On average, single-family homes sell for about $4.5 million, about $1,500 a foot. Condos, about $1.5 million, $1,200 a foot. I've made separate video tours going more in depth on each of these neighborhoods on my YouTube channel. I'll link all of them in the description below. Definitely go check them out if you're interested in learning more about any of them. If you're thinking about relocating or having trouble figuring out which neighborhood is right for you, or have questions about what's going on in the market with all the changes going on, since the pandemic and with interest rates, definitely reach out to me. I was a lawyer at one of the biggest law firms in the world before getting into real estate, and I've lived in the Bay Area for over a decade. I'd be happy to help you. I'll put my contact information in the description below. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you in the next one.